and we want you to come and help us celebrate it, hey? Pick a date, and we'll make it a big deal.
Oh, great.
Now,
we'll definitely be there.
I gotta go pick up some pizzas. God bless you.
That sounds wonderful.
Where are the t-shirts? That was Frank. He founded this Catholic Workers 35 years ago.
Sure.
And
I was reading about him in the Des Moines Register, actually.
Great.
Yes.
So maybe
It was a great article about your work.
Thank you. Well, we would love to hear from you about the work that the Rachel Corrie Foundation does, and anything else that you two would like to say, and then maybe we could talk a little bit about this visit. You mentioned a few times that you folks might be in Des Moines in a couple weeks, and maybe we could get together in person and do something.
Yeah. Why don't, Craig, do you want to go first?
Okay. Well, in terms of our being there, it's kind of sad, but I have an uncle right now who has been taken off life support at Wesley Acres. So presumably, when the family gets a chance to think about that, there'll be some sort of service for him, and I would expect, that we'll be there for that. So we don't really have an itinerary picked out for that. But we know we'll get to Des Moines. We just don't always know when.
Sure.
So that's great, and I think it's really moving to see all of you and to hear from all of you and the work you do. We have just a little experience with Catholic worker. I think actually from the August right after Rachel was killed, that we were out at a Veterans for Peace annual meeting, and Kate Berrigan was there accepting membership into Veterans for Peace for her father, and we were there accepting membership for our daughter. So we met Kate a few times in different places, and I think I'm not sure. I think we spoke at a Catholic worker house in D.C. or close to Greenbelt, somewhere in there, a lot of years ago, and Kate's mom was there, so we got to know that part of the family a bit. So, some familiarity. And of course, it's all people that work on these sorts of issues. We cross paths in various ways in different parts of the world, whether we just miss each other from the in sitting down at Rafa Crossing, and we were lucky to get in a few weeks later that summer. I was thinking there and just talking about going to see, and I think that would have been Bill Burns at the State Department. And it was shortly after that, a little later on in the summer, that Dr. Burns, who was the Undersecretary of State for Near East Affairs, called me. We were trying to get in Gaza, and most people were trying to discourage us, but he called and said, you need to go, you need to go. And somehow the State Department got Cindy and me into Gaza at a time when the Israeli general was saying we could not go. So I laid that sort of at Bill Burns' feet, and I think that people going and talk to him, you don't know when it's going to have an effect and how much effect, but I think there were a few people in the State Department that did what they could for our family and I believe for our nation, even when that turns out to look like very little that the State Department actually did. But I think there are good people there, and I would count Bill Burns as one of them, I hope. So I think that that sort of work has an impact. We don't always see it, but I think every time we can make the people that make these decisions understand that they're talking about real human beings.
Right.
And to me, it's not at all important that it's an American citizen versus somebody from Gaza or somebody from inside 48 in Israel or South America or wherever you want to talk about, that we do have to understand that our decisions have consequences. And they sometimes have devastating consequences on poor people in the world. And that just has to be made to be understood. And I think the couple of times when I've seen people that are in a position of power or some power actually change the way they act, it starts out with the statement, that could have been my daughter. Or I looked at our congressman looked at a picture after Cass led of some Palestinian children that were killed, and he looked at it and said, those could be my boys. And somehow that transfixes defining moment, I think, for most people, when they understand the other in terms of themselves, and they understand that connection. And so I'm really happy, and I think Rachel would be pretty astounded, but very happy, that you're going to name a Catholic worker house after her. And particularly in Des Moines, I wish my mother were still alive to see that, but just didn't happen during her 93 years in Des Moines. But, I'm glad that it is now. I'm a little curious, whereabouts is the Catholic worker house?
It's on the near north side, right off 6th Avenue. By Mercy Hospital.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
and we have 4 houses. They're all on the same block, so it's just kind of, they share backyards.
Okay, so right close to University there.
Yeah, it's right off University Street, absolutely.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Great. Well, it's kind of fun to be able to, it seems like old home week in a way.
That's great.
I'd just like to say it's very moving to me that you've made the decision to do this, and particularly hearing David about your work and Megan's work in being observers and companions to people in Palestine and also in Latin America, where I know that work is so important. Those of you that follow the Israeli-Palestinian issue know that this is a very volatile time there again. I think everybody's kind of waiting to see what develops, but a lot of signs are not very good, and particularly the increasing amount of settler violence in the West Bank right now is very concerning. And I just read about yesterday, Friday, about 23 people being injured, 23 Palestinians, but also internationals were with those people, and 3 have been hospitalized. I don't really know more than that, but having done that kind of work, you know the importance of having people there who can be accompaniers and witnesses. And Craig and I feel deeply connected after all these years and after many visits to Gaza, to the West Bank, and to Israel, to all of the people there. And of course, there are many who disagree with our views, but there are many who do not. There are many who agree with us, who are doing the same kinds of work that we're doing, advocating in their own way in the West Bank, in Gaza, and in Israel. And those